There was a time when Earth did not belong to just one kind of human. If you walked across the planet 40 or 50,000 years ago, you would have found that Earth looked more like a rented apartment with a bunch of very different roommates. In Europe, you would have met stocky Neanderthals. On lost tropical islands, people shrank to the size of a hobbit, and some species were so secretive that they left behind nothing but ghostly traces in our own DNA. And then there was us, Homo sapiens. We weren't the strongest, we weren't the oldest. We weren't even the ones who survived the longest. We are just the last one standing. So where did everyone else go? In school textbooks, evolution often looks like a neat, straight ladder. An ape stands up, turns into a caveman, and eventually becomes a modern office worker. But paleoanthropologists have known for a long time that this image is a lie. Human evolution is actually a wild, messy bush with dozens of parallel branches. To understand why we are the only ones left, let's get to know our relatives, starting with the ultimate long-term champion. Our first relative is Homo erectus. They appeared around 2 million years ago and became the most geographically widespread species after us, settling vast territories from Africa to Asia. They were the first to tame fire, mass-produce stone hand axes, and had bodies perfectly built for long-distance walking and running. Our species has only been on Earth for about 300,000 years. Erectus, however, lasted for nearly 2 million years, meaning they existed 6 times longer than we have. That's a survival record our own species is unlikely to beat anytime soon. So why did they disappear? The most logical theory is a mix of climate change and competition. Asia's tropical forests slowly turned into dry savannas, wiping out their food source, while newer, more advanced human species armed with superior tools simply pushed them out of their last territories. Now forget everything you think you know about Neanderthals. In the 19th century, scientists seriously proposed naming this species Homo stupidus, the stupid human. That was a huge mistake. Neanderthals were incredibly successful. They spread across a massive territory from the Mediterranean all the way to Siberia. They hunted large game with spears, gathered plants, mushrooms, and seafood, skillfully cooked their food over fires, and made warm clothing from animal hides. Their brain size was actually larger than ours, and their bodies were machines of pure muscle, built to survive the harsh cold of the Ice Age. But their lives were incredibly dangerous. By studying their skeletons, archaeologists made a striking discovery. Neanderthals suffered the exact same fractures and traumas as modern professional rodeo riders. Every single hunt was a life-or-death gamble. Yet they were not brutal savages. They cared for their disabled. Archaeologists find skeletons of blind and crippled Neanderthals who lived for years after their injuries thanks to their tribe's care. They possessed the FOXP2 speech gene, created cave art, and buried their dead. And yet, around 40,000 years ago, they vanished. But this genetic merge brought us not only benefits. Along with a strong immune system, Neanderthals passed on a very questionable inheritance to modern humans. Scientists from Vanderbilt University found that Neanderthal genes are directly linked to our susceptibility to depression. And even how your skin reacts to the sun is largely determined by ancient DNA. In addition, these genes increase blood clotting speed. In the Stone Age, this saved lives, helping to quickly close open wounds from predator claws. But today, this same mechanism leads to blood clots, strokes, and heart attacks. From Neanderthal ancestors, we also got an increased risk of type 2 diabetes and a susceptibility to nicotine addiction. Even our allergy to plant pollen is also their hello from the past. So the next time you feel sad for no apparent reason, you know exactly who to blame. While we have thousands of bones for Neanderthals, Denisovans remained genetic ghosts for a long time. All we had was a tiny fragment of a girl's pinky bone found in a cave in Siberia. But the DNA in that tiny bone rewrote science. It revealed that a massive, independent human species lived across Asia. And in 2019, scientists performed a miracle. Using DNA mapping, they reconstructed the face of a Denisovan. The ghost finally got a face, with wide cheekbones, a massive jaw, and a low forehead. They are the ones who gifted modern Tibetans a unique gene that allows them to live at 5,000 meters above sea level without suffering from oxygen deprivation. But the wildest experiments of evolution took place on isolated islands. On the Indonesian island of Flores, scientists found the remains of humans standing just 1 meter tall and weighing about 25 kilograms. They were instantly nicknamed hobbits. And in 2019, another dwarf species was discovered in the Philippines, Homo luzonensis. This is a classic case of island dwarfism. On small islands, resources are scarce. To survive, evolution shrinks the bodies of large species. As a result, these tiny humans lived in a real-life fantasy world, hunting dwarf elephants the size of ponies and fighting giant rats the size of dogs. They lived in their isolation until new guests arrived in their world. For a long time, it was believed that Sapiens, us, arrived and brutally wiped out every other human species. But genetics has revealed a much more romantic truth. We didn't just fight, we became friends, and we loved each other. As Sapiens migrated out of Africa and encountered Neanderthals and Denisovans, they interbred. We literally shared romantic campfires. Today, every person on Earth without pure African ancestry carries 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. And people from certain Pacific Islands and indigenous Australians carry up to 6% Denisovan genes. We didn't completely destroy them, we merged with them. They are still alive inside every one of us. But our own survival also hung by a thread. Around 74,000 years ago, the eruption of the Toba supervolcano in Sumatra plunged the planet into a years-long volcanic winter. Ash blocked the sun, and the Sapiens population shrank to just a few thousand people. We became a tiny group of survivors on the brink of total extinction. Today's multi-billion population is descended from that handful of people who got lucky. We survived not because we were perfect, but because we miraculously made it through the volcanic ash. But why did our branch fill the entire planet while the others disappeared as distinct species? It wasn't because of brain size. If size was everything, blue whales would rule the earth. It wasn't about strength either. A Neanderthal could easily snap a Sapiens in half. Our secret weapon was our social network. Neanderthals lived in small, isolated groups of about 15 people. Sapiens, however, learned to organize into massive tribes through language, myths, and shared stories. We could cooperate with strangers, trade over vast distances, and quickly share new technologies. When the planet's climate began to fluctuate wildly, small groups of Neanderthals and Denisovans died off one by one in isolation from starvation or inbreeding. Sapiens, on the other hand, survived by relying on mutual aid, trade, and shared knowledge. We are left alone, the last surviving branch on a massive human tree. This gives us incredible power, but it also carries a heavy responsibility. We can no longer blame our mistakes on foolish savages next door. All we have is each other. And the history of our extinct relatives teaches us one main lesson. Survival is never guaranteed to anyone, no matter how successful we might seem to be right now. If you enjoyed this story of our big, messy evolutionary family, please subscribe. Your support keeps our campfire burning. Thank you, friends, and see you next time by the fire. We've got more stories from humanity's strangest chapters.